So, as is good tradition in this series, is once we've come back from a deep travel into a photo past, we'll have to find somewhere quiet, sit down, and kind of reflect on past events, right? So let's just take this picture, why don't we?
That looks familiar. This might be too metaphoric.
Talk to her first.
Aren't you from Blackwell Academy? I wanted to go there, but I didn't get in. They have such a cool program. I bet you're learning a lot.
It's a cool look. I like it. She's gonna be so weirded out when she finds this picture on her camera. She's like, what creeper took this? Obviously this is a Monty Python reference, right? And just in case you're unsure which one. Ministry of Silly Walks. Right, this one. It's a sketch in the Monty Python's Flying Circus.
That one is kind of silly.
They're all kind of silly. And John Cleese's beautiful, gangly long legs.
I would love to have this on a shelf. Someday. I like. Oh, but imagine how much time it takes to make one sculpture.
Interesting that they would have this sculpture exhibit in this Everyday Heroes photo show, though. Everyday Heroes, so that's just, yeah, probably like an old couple that's been around and been married forever on their Sunday walk or whatever. So I like Max's outfit, a little feather there, reminds me a bit of Rachel Lambert, a bit more formal, still in jeans though. Yeah, I like it. What kind of shoes is she wearing? She can't still be wearing sneakers, right? Oh, boots. Yeah. Alright, cool. So let's look at our texts again. These must be very similar to the text we had in the plane, right? So this is 10th is Thursday, actually. Damn right, plus Max, you deserve to win. So this is like either Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. I don't know. Nothing new, I suppose. Kate, that is a date. Mom. Of course, that's why I'm at Blackwell. Private number. Keep your smart mouth shut about everything. That's because we ratted out Nathan. And Nathan's been arrested too, right? Right. Warren. Also, I want to check out the journal now. And not only do I want to read the new entries, but I also want to look back if this journal doesn't have... I mean, that's interesting. This journal shouldn't have, like, a lot of the events that we've seen, right? Because in this timeline, Kate, for example, Kate being on the roof and trying to kill herself didn't happen because we offered her support early on. So that shouldn't be in this diary, unless this is the diary that we took from the other universe, because everything that we have on us travels with us. But we didn't have the diary on us. We were in Jefferson's darkroom, and we just saw the diary lying on the ground. So we didn't have it on us, so there's no reason to assume that that diary traveled with us, right? Also, in other flashbacks, when we've looked at our diary, that diary was from that universe. Like, you know, when we traveled back and helped save Chloe's father, William, the new diary we had described the new Max that was friends with Victoria and the Vortex Club now. So this one shouldn't have the stuff about Kate. Alright. Right, Nathan fired the gun. I saved Chloe. Stepped in between Kate and David. Pregnancy test. Meeting Chloe. Chloe's room. David busts in. Wait, so this whole like... This is Monday afternoon, right? This is after we sent David the text that Jefferson is the bad guy. And Chloe, I'm gonna piece this together now, if it's the last thing I do. Wright says David's like, I don't know, got some policemen or whatever. And he's doing stuff now. Right, crazy shit is going down. Step Soldier called... This is Monday at 9:40. Okay. So the thing where he busts us with our quote-unquote joined in Chloe's room is Monday afternoon at like 6 or something, right? So that could still have happened. But that would be after David gets the text and before he acts, which would be kind of weird. Unless he doesn't see the text until a few hours later, I guess. That could be the case. So this still happens. Chloe's stepfather showed up, which was David Madsen. Yeah, also she shouldn't have written it like this, right? Or in this universe, because in this universe she knew it was... Well, the new Max... the old Max didn't. Okay, this is getting confusing now. Because writing this obviously is the Max from that timeline, which got reinstated after we left that timeline in the classroom, right? She was probably like, duh, what just happened? Right. I mean, yeah, that's another area of time travel that this game doesn't really go to, and I'm not saying I wish it did, but it would have been another interesting aspect potentially, is this we're basically invading other Max's timelines, right? And we're taking over her body with our consciousness and our knowledge from the future or from another timeline or whatever, and then acting through her body, but just... and I'm talking about the pictures now, obviously, but only staying there for like 5 minutes or so and then going back. So after that, the Max must be like, what the hell just happened? I can't remember the last 5 minutes. What did I do? And it would have been interesting to have this happen to us. Oh, wait. To have this happen to us as well, right? The quote-unquote real Max, where we think we're just doing our thing and we're the one doing all the time travel. But what if we had episodes like this where we just zoned out and came to a couple of minutes later and didn't know what happened? Now that I'm thinking about it, the Tornado Vision episodes, could they be that? Could they be Maxes from other timelines traveling back through a photo? Because the Tornado Visions happened, for example, in Jefferson's class when we took the selfie, which is kind of a focal point, right? And they also happened with Chloe on the tracks, where we save her. But there was no photograph taken in that moment. So how would a future Max been able to travel back to that moment? And they also happened after, or like before meeting Frank. I don't know. I don't think there's much to that theory. But yeah, but that's something the game could have done, right? Is we just like waking up in our body, like what happened the last 5 minutes? Did some other Max from another timeline just act through us? Anyway, so this Max from this timeline doesn't know about the whole thing with Jefferson and David taking Jefferson down. But David still does, because he got the text and the text is not on the phone. Like us Max from this timeline who traveled back, we deleted that text from Max's phone, so there's not necessarily evidence that she sent it, unless David kept some, of course, which would have then been confusing for the Max of that timeline. That we're occupying that Max's place now again, right? But further in the future. And all this in between, all this diary writing, happened by that other Max. Huh. So yeah, sunset. Kate's book back. Go ape. Scene in the diner where we prove to Chloe that we have powers. Yep, train tracks. I like this scene, right? I mean, is this just another Max traveling to this point and using our body for a while? But I mean, it wasn't, yeah, I mean, that only would make sense if the time that we can't remember covers the time where we actually do stuff that makes a difference, right? And we don't do anything in that train tracks episode in the couple of seconds that we're out because of the tornado vision. We only save Chloe after that. And it's not like during the tornado vision we got some mysterious insight that we have to save Chloe. Oh wait a second. That we have to save Chloe. The reason we have to save Chloe after that is because we had the tornado vision and we were absent for a couple of minutes and we didn't realize that the train was coming and Chloe was getting stuck, right? So maybe this is someone else messing with us because they want us to have okay, wait a second, this could be interesting now. Maybe this is someone else messing with us so that Chloe dies, even though they know we have time travel powers and would fix it probably. Maybe this is someone else messing with us, wanting Chloe to die. Which wouldn't explain the vision in Jefferson's class, of course, because that's that. I mean, you could say that. Oh wow, you could say that's just to disorient us for long enough so that we don't go to the bathroom and save her. Okay, I sense a story here. Okay, so that's actually a theory that could make a lot of sense. What if that's... I was ranting on the ending a lot before, like Chloe's fated to die. What if she isn't fating to die? What if someone's actually trying to kill her? What if it's Rachel trying to kill Chloe so they can be together in the afterlife or whatever, right? What if Rachel messing with Max at the beginning of Life is Strange, that's why she has the tornado vision and is disoriented for a while. So she goes to the bathroom too late and sees Chloe die, and that's what initially happens, right? Maybe that's what Rachel wanted. But then since that doesn't happen, she tries again on the train tracks. This can't be coincidence, the timing, right? Just right before Chloe dies, we get these meddling, so to say. She meddles with us, so we are not focused. So Chloe dies again, unless we use our rewind power. Is there more instances of the rewind power where... I think that's the main two, right? As we've seen from before the storm as well, either Rachel seems to have wind powers, or the wind seems to do something supernatural as soon as Rachel is angry or confused or whatever. So maybe that's like her ghost from the afterlife, manipulating wind to get us to sacrifice Chloe at the end of Life is Strange. And this is just the whole escalation of the story, which just started with Rachel messing with us. Why would she mess with us with a tornado vision though? Maybe just Rachel messing with us with that tornado vision for long enough so that we wouldn't go into the bathroom soon enough to save Chloe, because she wanted to be together with Chloe. And then what happened as a result, something that Rachel couldn't have foreseen, is that we developed time travel powers, or got them from somewhere, as a result to Rachel meddling. And with that, we foiled her plan and actually did save Chloe in the bathroom, like was originally going to happen, right? Because we would have been in the bathroom, maybe would have been there earlier if we hadn't gotten disoriented in class. So then Rachel has to like step it up a notch and have deploy ever more crass tools to get Chloe to die. And the ultimate tool in the end is the hurricane, where she forces us basically to say, sacrifice Chloe, or the whole town will get wiped out. I mean, this would actually give this whole story a whole different layer of meaning that would make a bit more sense and wouldn't make this a bullshit choice in the end, right? Because if this is just like the universe saying, oh, Chloe has to die, we don't care about all the other stuff you've changed, we don't care that Kate didn't die because you stepped in, but Chloe has to die, or Arcadia Bay will be destroyed. I mean, that's what bothers me so much about that ending, right? That's just bullshit. Other people survive, that's fine, but Chloe has to die. But if it is Rachel actively doing that, then that could be more interesting. We'll have to see about that. There might be something to that. Huh. Alright, anyways. I'm rambling a lot, but this is supposed to be a super thorough playthrough, so with a lot of theorizing. Kate Marsh almost killed herself, so that still happened. This is actually a continuity error then, I think, just on the game's part, right? They're usually very good about this, like, you know, about the journal and the text messages being different depending where you are in the timeline and which timeline you are currently occupying. And usually it's always that the diary reflects the timeline you're in, not the one you're coming from. But this clearly doesn't reflect this timeline, because in this timeline, as we've seen from the texts, Kate never tried to kill herself. So that's a slight continuity error. Other than that, we did read up until page 55 the last time, so let's just read the last 12 pages here. So goodbye William again, hello David again. This is after we undid saving William, right? And then woke up Thursday morning, the day where we collected all the evidence together with Chloe from Frank and from Nathan and from David. I've never been so glad to see Chloe in my life. The second I saw her blue hair and the beautiful pissed off face, I wanted to kiss her again. And I couldn't even tell her where I had been, or why. It would be one more thing to alienate Chloe from me and the world. I had to get refocused on our search for Rachel. Chloe had been busy with her detective work, while I was in an alternate timeline. Of course, it was much easier for me to explore David's garage, since Joyce booted his ass out. That made Chloe more content than I've just about seen her since I returned. I still kind of feel bad for David, but he overstepped his authority, dismissed. And it's so much easier to grab David's X-Files when he's not there. After we gathered our new info like Halloween treats, I loved watching Chloe go into Sherlock mode while she examined all of our clues on our big old drawing board. Of course, we all know that she's more of a Dr. Watson, right? Elementary. Honestly, with all of the impending doom and sadness, I feel so happy just to find myself back in action with my best friend and her buttery, butterfly blue hair. Hella yes. But first things first, I really had to go and see Kate. I've never visited anybody in the hospital before, much less anybody who's tried to commit suicide, so I was happy Chloe wanted to come along for support. At first I thought, just a moment ago, this is really weird. You have never visited anyone in hospital. You're like 18. No one close to you has ever died. But then I realized that was basically me. Until I was, I don't know, 18, 19, 20? What was that? 2009? Yeah, 21. Until I was 21, I don't know if I never visited anyone in the hospital, but not for anything serious. And I also had no one close to me ever die, at least not consciously. I know my grandmother died when I was 4, but I didn't realize that really. But from then till 21, no one really died, which is interesting, kinda, isn't it? But then 2009, my grandpa died, and since then, man, there's been so many like deaths in the family and stuff like that, and a lot of other stuff. A lot more experiences with the hospital, but until then, so I mean, I guess that depends just like on generational differences and what kind of generation your parents and your grandparents are, right? There might be long stretches where no one dies and then instantly like a lot of stuff happens. I don't know. So yeah, makes sense. The antiseptic smell and the endless white holes always kind of weird me out. Or maybe I'm just projecting my own fear of mortality. When I saw Kate in her room, surrounded by cards, flowers and balloons, all I could think of was when I saw her last time, on the roof. Her face was so sad and sincere and helpless then, but now she had more life in her than I'd seen in a long time. I had no idea what to say to somebody in a situation like this. How are you? After you almost jumped off a roof? But Kate's gentle spirit made it easy. I was overjoyed to see that she was drawing again and making plans for the future, including plans to get justice for what Nathan Prescott had done to her. Or what I call revenge. So after getting the inside info and assist from the other members of our team, Chloe and I made our way to the boys' dorm, aka Nathan's lair. Chloe stood guard out in the hall, and I stealthed my way into Nathan's room. Why does Nathan have a dormitory at Prescott? Like at a dormitory room at the school anyways. Doesn't his family like have a large mansion in the town anyways? Well, no reason not to have both, I guess. And even though I've become a master spy and detective, I still get surprised by things I see or find. Like Nathan's sleek expressionist bro cave. Is expressionist really the correct term here? It was like walking from light to shadow in a single step. I swear, I could feel the temperature drop the second I walked in. But then, Nathan knows photography, and he knows you have to keep the film and equipment chilled. I store my instant film hoard in Mr. Jefferson's classroom. Arcadia Bay. Speaking of cold stuff, Nathan's room was layered in creepy shit. The disturbing but impressive photos, all the evidence from his father's bullying, and probably the most important clue we would ever find, Nathan's phone. Likely loaded with messages and mysteries. It's not a good thing that I've internalized spying and stealing so casually over the past week. Everyday hero, am I right? And that's when Nathan Prescott showed up. He looked so wild-eyed and out of control that I felt a twinge of sympathy that he clearly needed help. But then I remembered he was also an asshole and had been extremely dangerous to me, Chloe, and Kate. So before I had to rewind, Warren entered the scene and my White Knight headbutted Nathan in perfect payback. I couldn't believe it, neither could Nathan. In fact, Warren literally started to go ape all over Nathan's face. It wasn't cool, but my nerves were so frayed from the week, and I was so over all the Blackwell bullies, that I almost didn't want to stop Warren from beating Nathan into the floor. Warren has his own issues to work out with Nathan, but this wasn't the time or place. Even if Nathan deserved it, and I would have been happy to watch Warren show him who was a Blackwell boss now. After that dorm brawl, Chloe and I headed to the beach to deal with Frank and see if we could get him to join us. I had to be careful and not get him all tweaked out. He was pretty pissed that someone had gotten into his RV and borrowed his account book, but once he saw that we didn't care about drugs or money, only Rachel, he mellowed out. All I could think was, I'm trying to get a drug dealer to help me find a missing girl. Incredibly, Frank actually agreed to help. He knows how naive and clueless we are, so I hope that our sincerity swayed him. Yeah, and also he cares for Rachel. I'm still unsure about him, and I can't be so naive not to keep my rewind guard up. I don't know... Yeah, talk about that, Max. That didn't work out so well that same evening, right? I don't know much about him, except that he sells drugs, has a wicked temper, and that he loved Rachel, even more than his beans. Ha! I love that they're self-conscious about the beans thing. But this is episode 5, so maybe this is in reaction to the fan freak out over, I was eating those beans. So we get to add another member to our team. Booyah! My life feels so surreal at this point. I don't know how to react anymore. I can rewind time and space, but is it aging me before my own time and space? Am I learning things I shouldn't, messing up too much shit, including my own history? Obviously my nosebleeds and dizzy spells are a bad sign that I'm overusing my powers, but it's become almost part of my nature, or maybe a habit. Power corrupts? Not yet, I hope. I remember this famous... Oh, that's cool. City on the Edge of Forever, right? I remember this famous episode of the original Star Trek, where Kirk has to go back in time and let the person he loves die so the Nazis won't win the war. What kind of fucked up choice is that? Yes, what kind of fucked up choice is that? Game. See, life is strange, writers. I know that you're cognizant of this, apparently. So let me just talk to you directly here. You didn't write another City off the Edge of Forever, which is a classic, by the way, and one of the best hours of television ever. Because in A City on the Edge of Forever, the concept actually makes sense. The concept of, yes, you have awesome powers in your time travel, and you're trying to make things right, but still not everything has to come out perfect. Makes sense in that episode, because there is a real world causality and connection between letting the person Kirk loves die and the Nazis winning the war. And the explanation is, of course, that she was a huge peace activist. She was a wonderful person, huge peace activist in the US, who got very influential after Kirk saved her, and contributed to the US not entering into World War II, or entering later or whatever. Anyway, she contributed to changing public opinion, to changing the US's stance in World War II, basically, which gave the Nazis an edge they didn't have earlier, right? Which led to them winning the war, or at least not losing the war, or whatever. And that's actually a good example of how going back in time and changing things might not necessarily make everything perfect, and might have results that you didn't anticipate. And there's actually a debate between Spock and Kirk, I think, as well, whether it might be still the right thing to save her or not. But it's like connected through like real-world causality, whereas in this it's never explained. It's just like, Chloe not dying causes a hurricane. And that's just bullshit. Even this game does it better, right? When we're talking about Chloe's dad, William. That kind of recreates that moment where we're saying, yeah, we want to make stuff better for Chloe. We don't want her to be growing up angsty and and rebellious and without a father figure, so we have to go back in time and save William. And then there's a real world consequence for that, because as a result of that, so many things change in her world. She gets her own car earlier and stuff like that, that she gets in an accident herself, and that negatively affects her. So that's that kind of point well executed, or better executed at least, than the ending, where the reasoning is just mystical and there's not really any good causal relation, except for the one possibility where my theory is true, that what's causing the hurricane is Rachel, because she wants Chloe to die. That would make everything kinda come together. But I don't know if they planned this far ahead, and if they planned with a sequel or prequel rather in mind already. So I don't know. But yeah, the game is self-aware. Look at that. Where Kirk has to go back in time and let the person he loves die, so the Nazis won't win the war. What kind of fucked up choice is that? What would have happened if I had not been in the school bathroom to save Chloe that day? Well, that's heavy foreshadowing for the end of the game, of course. But damn it, I was there, and thus I was supposed to be there. Destiny. Oh fuck, destiny. And the fact that we were able to convince Frank to actually help us gives the most hope I've had in a while. Yes, Chloe and I were stupid to confront Frank like that, considering how he reacted before, but I don't see how anyone could say he didn't really love Rachel Amber. He shouldn't have pulled a knife on Chloe, though, and I don't like that he sells all these dangerous meds to teenagers, especially Nathan. He needs psychiatric supervision, not just baggies of pills. At least he won't be going to Frank again. I still don't know why Chloe or even Rachel would want to hang out with Frank, but I can't suss that out anymore. Maybe if I hadn't left town I'd be less judgmental, but now we have Nathan's phone, David's coordinates, Frank's account book, and a big board of clues, which brings us closer to finding Rachel Amber, finally. So maybe the tide is finally turning, our time is finally turning, or time is finally turning. This is the moment where all the clues come together and we finally have a location outside of town that may lead us straight to Rachel Amber and beyond. After everything that happened with Frank, I had to convince Chloe to keep going forward with me, since I do feel we're at the end of the road. Hopefully not the end of the world, but whatever anger Chloe has inside her that makes her so self-destructive is matched by her balls and bravery. Yes, Chloe's gotten me nearly killed, but I know she would die for me. And I can't forget I put her in a wheelchair to slowly die in another reality. And Chloe's more focused now than before. I told her we have to keep moving forward no matter what, and I couldn't find Rachel on my own. That was enough. Now it's time to shine a light into the darkroom. Chloe and I loaded up our coordinates, and we hit the road. We were both quiet yet excited. It's hard to explain the feeling. Even with all the horrible things happening, I found myself thinking that Chloe and I were part of some greater mystery that involved time, space, and all our fates. I've never had much faith, not the Kate Marsh kind anyway, but I couldn't believe we were being set up for doom after everything that's happened this week. That's interesting. I don't think it's ever made this explicit that Max is not religious. Positively irreligious. I mean, she said before that her parents never once took her to church, but that doesn't mean that Max isn't religious, right? But this pretty much confirms it. At least, she says, like, not in the Kate Marsh kind anyway, so maybe in a, like, spiritual sense, but certainly not in a religious sense. She isn't a believer. Which is interesting, because the woman Hannah Tell, who voices Max, very much is. And she speaks about that a lot, and like the connection of her, like her face and how much this game resonated with her because of that. Especially Kate Marsh's story as well. Which, you know, that's interesting. Maybe she never read the journal entries. Or maybe she just... I mean, she would know that Max isn't religious, right? because she's also said like a lot that she really identifies with Max to a point where it's not really healthy anymore. She's a wonderful person, by the way. You should look her up. If you want to know more about Life is Strange, she has like a lot of interesting thoughts on Max and the whole story as well. And also, I mean, she can't say that so directly, but I also think she doesn't really like the ending that much. There's a couple of interviews out there. Anyway, let's continue. But I wasn't prepared for the dark room. Have I read this before? Yeah. The coordinates led us to an abandoned farm owned by the Prescott family, and I shouldn't have been surprised that it was actually housing a weird, secure bunker that was filled with Prescott memorabilia and worse. If there was evil ground zero, this place was it. Cupboards filled with name-dread binders that confirmed our worst nightmares. Not that I even had any clue that our amateur detective work would lead us to this kind of professional hell. When I saw the binder named Victoria, my heart started pounding like a jackhammer. Then I had a real clue about what was coming. I don't even want to think about the images we saw of Kate Marsh posed unconscious with that motherfucker Nathan Prescott. She didn't know the truth about what happened to her, even if she couldn't remember all the awful details. And then Rachel Amber, delicately composed photographs of her drugged and all over Nathan like some kind of sick goth couple. I couldn't bear to look at Chloe's face as she looked at the photos of her abused angel. I felt nauseated. All the hope I was feeding Chloe felt like vapor. And... like vapor? And then we saw exactly where Nathan had taken his vicious layout with poor Rachel in the junkyard. We finally found Rachel Amber, dead and buried. I'm sorry, Rachel. I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm sorry, Kate. I'm sorry, William. Fuck you, Arcadia Bay. And see, it's not that, like, there isn't enough, like, darkness and realness in this story to begin with, right? We don't need Chloe dying to make this a story about, oh, even though you have time-traveling powers, not everything can turn out perfect in the end. We got that message when we tried to save William, and that had catastrophic consequences, right? Would have been... Maybe it would have been better if they had like drawn out the story a little more and it would have ended with that. Well, then the game would have been about Chloe and her story a bit too much, I guess, but... Hello, Gremlin. You get 1.5 hours to hang out? That's good. I'm gonna be around for that long at least. I'm catching up on the journal again, but it's not gonna be long. And I've been ranting about the ending quite a bit. Anyway, so high school should be the best years of your life. I've heard over and over from my parents and other experts. Fuck do they know? Tell that to Rachel Amber, or Kate. I've never seen Chloe so cold and hard. She won't let go of the gun. So we have to find Nathan before Chloe kills him. And if that happens, it'll be hard to rewind. But we're as close to the end of this nightmare as possible, so I have to block out these images of Kate Marsh and Rachel Amber that will be burned into my retinas forever. There's still a final secret to uncover, and nothing is going to stop us now. Not even a goddamn tornado. Chloe and I pulled up to Blackwell's parking lot and arrived at the end of the world party. Oh, the irony. We had to get rid of poor Warren fast, who wanted to bask in his alpha glory, and hang out with Chloe and me. I can't put another one of my friends in danger. So bizarro to see all the students dressed up in inexpensive outfits for pre-Halloween costumes, talking and laughing and smoking and drinking, as if there wasn't a serial killer going to the same party, or the town wasn't in eco-danger. As if to remind me of Arcadia Bay's tricking doomsday clock, I actually saw 2 moons in the sky over the horizon, or that's what it looked like briefly before the clouds rolled over. I squinted and actually rubbed my eyes like a dog, just to make sure my iris wasn't foggy. Was this another sign or an environmental illusion? Other people saw it too, except Chloe didn't see anything, besides vengeance. So she went into the gym looking for Nathan before I could catch up. Nathan doesn't know that he's running out of time too, no irony intended, we are. My first and last Vortex Club party, flashing lights and DJ Doom, no comment, spinning. In an alternate reality, I might have been at this party, standing in the corner, shy and nervous, waiting for somebody to ask me to dance, but being terrified if that happened. And that would have been the limits of my problems. Now look at me. But I had to find Chloe first, then Nathan, before she shot him. No matter how evil I thought Victoria was, she's actually just a terribly insecure person with talent, passion, and a tendency to be a cruel dick for no good reason. I have to see beyond our petty mean girl drama and assume she has a role to play in all of this too. So we talked like human beings, and I warned her without specifics about Nathan. She believed me, and it felt so warm, and it felt so warm to make a connection with my previous enemy. A sliver of light in all this darkness. Let there be more. October 11th, I guess. I watched Chloe die again, killed by my favorite teacher. Why? This is an intense drawing. Because we were stupid and let Jefferson trick us with the phony text. So we ended up back at the junkyard and fell right into his trap. We should have called the police, but the second we found Rachel, but I had gone along too far with Chloe. I keep thinking I'm invincible, that I'm a real everyday superhero, but no, I'm just Max Caulfield. Maybe all my powers are an accident of fate, or I'm being punished like Chloe. What have we done to deserve all this pain? Indeed, game, indeed. What have they done? What did Rachel do? Kate? William? Then there's Mark Jefferson. I can't ever call him Mr. again. I'm still shocked that he turned out to be the one hiding behind the darkroom. But if I think back on those pieces of time Jefferson has been dropping hints all along, it makes me sick to think how long he's been doing this for, and to whom. The needle. I can still feel that needle on my skin. Thank God I can't remember Jefferson posing me for most of his sick session. Imagine all those other people who had to suffer through that horror, like Rachel and Kate. That made me determined to get out of that room, at least to stop him and save Chloe. I had to use my focus rewind for multiple photos so often that even I got confused. Worse still, I knew I was screwing around with various realities again, but I had no other choice. Chloe would not die in a junkyard next to Rachel Amber, and there was no fucking way I was going to let Jefferson be the last person I ever saw. It's hard to even imagine myself in that studio alone with Jefferson, acting like that. Everything was so neat and sterile, but it felt like the filthiest place on earth. If I didn't have this ability to bend time, what would I have done? What could I have done? Sometimes I felt removed, like I was looking at myself going through the cell. But thanks to Jefferson's class photo, he personally helped me escape. I also feel so terrible that Victoria had to end up here with me. Just because I warned her about Nathan, I should have known that she would rush to Jefferson for protection. Instead, he kidnapped her and almost murdered her because of me. I'll never forget the way Jefferson looked at me, so cold and mean. I felt like I was one of those awful true crime shows my mum binge watches. How does somebody become evil? He actually shot Chloe in the head, just like that, motherfucker. She's swearing a lot more now. I guess that's character development. Now I'm glad I blamed Jefferson for Kate, so at least there's a paper trail for his actions. If only I had David Madsen's info, and to think that I felt guilty about narking on Jefferson. Narking? I can't believe I was able to focus and rewind into my selfie all the way back to the art class on Monday. I turned in my photo for the contest after I sent a text to David warning him about Jefferson. Whew. The only reason I haven't had a total meltdown is the fact that I do have this incredible power. I have to use it right for once, and maybe never again. It was weird to be in class with Jefferson. Like, I wasn't just tortured by him in an underground bunker. I saw him for the first time as he is, a creepy, manipulative psychopath, filled with bullshit. He uses art and passion to seduce people, but behind that there's nothing but hate and perversion. I only pray that I can fix this timeline, not fuck it up. Max to the future. It feels like I've finally made things right. Chloe's alive. David Madsen became a real everyday hero by busting Jefferson and his darkroom, along with Nathan and his father. The Prescotts have lost control of Arcadia Bay. Now I'm the official everyday hero, on my way to San Francisco with Principal Wells, who is a lot more funny and laid back when he's not stressing out about Blackwell Academy. It's hard for me to totally relax, but all those pieces of time seem to be falling into place. Yeah, you wish, Max, you wish. So that's what we did. That's a neat little summary of what's been going on as well. Still, this whole diary is a continuity error, right? Because part of it is like in the old timeline, where Kate almost jumped from the roof, and where a couple of these other things happened where we actually looked for clues to find the bunker. And then the end of it, of course, is the other timeline, where we went all the back to Monday, sent David a text, and David pretty much right away busted Jefferson. So a lot of that other stuff, and we also encouraged Kate to not kill herself, and reinforced to her that we're there for her and whatever. So a lot of the stuff shouldn't have happened that's in this diary. And so far in this game, the diary has always been a reflection of the world or the timeline it appears in. It's not like Max is just one diary, just as one diary that she's taking across all timelines. We were in other timelines before where we just had like a new diary, basically, with new stuff that had happened to us in the past, but not this time, which is kind of weird. Anyway, we won the Everyday Heroes contest. We're in San Francisco now, and we're currently in the gallery where our photo is and where all the contributions are being celebrated. So let's go around and talk to a couple of people.